come back and do this yet again next year, can they? We seem to always ask, and we seem to always be wrong. So they get set to play in their 8th straight AFC Championship. When asked about the two cornerstones of his franchise, Robert Kraft did not understate how they should be remembered.
Definitely the greatest player of all time, not just quarterback, in my opinion, because he's such a leader in the locker room. And for someone double the age of some of the players to be able to lead like that and connect like that and have the work ethic that he has, and at the same time, so pleasant to be around. It's, you know, I'm really the luckiest guy in the world.
What do you think Bill's legacy would be?
Oh, he's the GOAT of coaches, just like our quarterback is the GOAT of quarterbacks. I mean, and no one can dispute it. And the fact that our organization has been able to perform at this level in the age of the salary cap, you know, when everyone spends the same amount of money. So, look, I'm pretty proud that we've been able to keep him and our quarterback together for 19 years. Please God, it'll be 2 decades next year.
All right, Cece, what do you think? There's a lot that that Robert Kraft said there about both his quarterback and his coach. And we were talking about this week, how unique a situation it is that these two have been so successful for so long in one place. And then you also add Robert Kraft to it, and we don't talk that much about how important he is to this organization as well.
It's a great story, and it's a great story, and very, very rare you're going to be able to get these types of moments where you have the owner talking about a player. And to add to what he's saying as far as Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback and or one of the greatest players, Tom Brady should be, he should have the title as the greatest quarterback. Now, it's hard. I'm going to take the Michael Jordan approach and say it's hard to compare players that played in different eras. And to say that Tom Brady was as good as all the players that played in the 60s, he was better than Jim Brown, like, that would be hard for me to argue that, what Jim Brown meant to the game of football. And I can understand all his arguments as far as Tom, how long he's played, yes, his leadership, all that. Yes, that would match up. But to say he's the greatest, I would just say there's a list of players that all should be included if you're ever talking about the greatest players ever. It should be Jim Brown, it should be Lawrence Taylor, Deion Sanders, and Tom Brady. Jerry Wright should be included. Those are the 5 players that I would say have made an impact on football like no other. So I won't say that one of them is the greatest of all time. And if I was to lean to one, I would lean to what we do in the Hall of Fame. We would lean to Jim Brown. Brady's made an impact on the game like we've never seen before. His ability to be able to lead young people in this new millennium, I think, is very, very special, and people should add that to a skill.
The reason that basketball has the most vociferous GOAT debate is not just the LeBron Jordan stuff. It's because you play offense and defense. You got to guard multiple positions. You know what discussion doesn't happen? Who's the best baseball player ever? Because how do you compare Satchel Paige to Babe Ruth? That's what I feel is the weakness on having this discussion with football, is how can you compare the greatness of what Lawrence Taylor did, or even the only name you left off that I had jotted down is maybe Deacon Jones is in that discussion as well. But the first 5 you mentioned are the first 5 I think most people would, which is Rice, Brady, Brown, Deion, Lawrence Taylor. But they are doing such different jobs, and Brady's biggest attribute or biggest mark on his resume is the championships, but he is playing the position that can have the most impact on championships. Yep. Like what Deion won a bunch, obviously, but you are limited in your ability to impact winning compared to a quarterback as a corner or a pass rusher or even a running back. So I think it is inarguable Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. And with respect to Chuck Noll and Bill Walsh and Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry, I think it's becoming inarguable that Belichick is the greatest coach ever. But I don't think there is such a thing as greatest baseball player ever. There's greatest pitcher and there's greatest positional player. And I don't think there's such a thing as greatest football player ever, just because they're asked to do such different jobs, even if they were all in the same era.
Tell me what makes a coach the greatest coach of all time besides his record.
I think his ability over a long period of time to be able to communicate. Football coaches are teachers, and their ability to be able to teach football and teach life to grown men. That's what you have to be able to judge a football coach on. Yeah, you're going to judge it on championships, but then you go into the different eras. Belichick's been a part of 3 different decades, but they're different. How the salary cap, no free agency. Now we're in 60% movement on every team with the draft, all those things. I think he's done a brilliant job of changing from I'm going to be a defensive dominated team for 10 or 15 years to I'm going to be an offensive driven team for the last 10 years. So I think his flexibility and how he still teaches football is second to none.
And you mentioned Robert Kraft, and this sound bites obviously from Robert Kraft. And we've talked throughout the week about how Robert Kraft traded for Bill Belichick when that wasn't the most popular move. He was the owner of the team when they drafted Tom Brady. The famous story of Brady walking up to Robert Kraft saying, best decision you ever made. See, Robert Kraft is going to join you in the Hall of Fame one day. Like,
he should be.
It's just a matter of time at this point.
If they forget about the championships, but if he drafted Bill Belichick. Yeah. Bill Belichick was working for someone else. He said, I'm willing to give you those picks for that guy. That's my guy. They drafted Tom Brady. Him and Tom Brady had a conversation the day after the draft. Tom Brady told him, I'm going to be the best draft pick you ever. And Mr. Kraft believed in him enough, all right, especially in those early years to develop a friendship and off the field. Yes, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame owner. Top to bottom, you win games from the top. And that's how New England did it. With the Krafts, to Belichick, and into Brady. All of them very, very special.
It's a good conversation.